Welcome to Quick Bite, your fast and friendly Florida insurance update.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Roshonda, agency owner of the Isom Insurance Group right here in the Sunshine State of Florida, welcoming you back to another Quick Bite episode, your fast and informative insurance market update. Today is Monday, December 29th, 2025. And it's that awkward in-between week where the Christmas decorations are still up. Nobody really knows what day it is, and everyone is talking about how they're going to reset in January. But while a lot of people are slowing down for the year, the Florida insurance market has actually been doing something we haven't seen much of lately. It's been stabilizing. Now, before anyone gets too excited, let me say this clearly right up front. Florida insurance is not fixed. Premiums did not magically drop. Roofs did not become hurricane proof, and insurance companies did not suddenly wake up feeling generous. However, compared to the chaos we lived through over the last several years, 2025 gave us something incredibly valuable: breathing room. So today's quick bite is a year-end recap. We're going to talk about what actually went right in the Florida insurance market during 2025, what lessons homeowners should take from this year, and what you really need to be watching as we head into 2026. To appreciate why 2025 matters, you have to remember where we came from. From about 2021 through early 2024, Florida homeowners experienced nonstop insurance stress, massive premium increases, carriers leaving the state, underwriting rules changing overnight. And when I say overnight, we were writing a policy one day under certain rules, and the next day we came in and it would be different rules with the same carrier. Policies being non-renewed for things that had been insured for decades. People weren't just frustrated, they were exhausted. Homeowners were exhausted. Agents were exhausted. Yes, we were exhausted. Mortgage companies were confused, and every renewal felt like a fire drill. So when we talk about 2025 being a better year, we're not saying it was cheap or easy. We're saying it was calmer. In 2025, we saw fewer surprise cancellations, fewer emergency carrier failures, and fewer panic-driven renewals. Many homeowners still experience increases. Let me repeat that. Many homeowners still experience increases, but those increases were slower, more predictable, and easier to plan for. And predictability matters more than most people realize. One of the biggest wins of 2025 is something most consumers never see directly: fewer insurance companies collapsing. In prior years, when a carrier failed, homeowners were suddenly forced to find coverage quickly. Citizens, which is a state ran insurance or backed by the state of Florida, absorbed more risks. Remaining private carriers tightened guidelines. Premiums increased across the board. Because when a carrier failed, the private companies that still remained in the market did not want to take on a lot of those customers because they didn't know what the company that failed, they didn't know their underwriting, if they had good risk on the books. And the private companies that were remaining in the state didn't want to just take on that risk, take on those policies. In 2025, stronger financial oversight improved. Reinsurance planning and legislation that finally had time to settle in resulted in fewer carriers' insolvencies. This created stability, and stability is everything in insurance. Insurance companies price policies years into the future. When they can plan, they don't have to overcorrect out of fear. And when fear-based pricing slows down, consumers benefit, even if that benefit feels subtle. Think of it like traffic. You may still be moving slowly, but at least you're not slamming on brakes every 5 seconds like you do on I-4. Another improvement we saw in 2025 was an increase in private market availability. For a while, it felt like Citizens was becoming the only option for many homeowners. But this year, more carriers cautiously expanded their underwriting appetite. In my office, we saw that. Um, Citizens was always our last resort. It would be for customers that may had a lot of claims where we couldn't maybe place them with a private carrier. They had a roof that was older that a private carrier didn't want to take, or those type of customers. But it wasn't our main before. It wasn't our main place to put people. It was always supposed to be the insurer of last resort. However, over the last couple of years, it was our only option a lot of times, depending on zip codes, because a lot of carriers had started closing zip codes that they would write in. They weren't taking any more new risks. So it really became our insurer of first resort instead of our insurer of last resort. But over this year, I have noticed and start to see that a lot of the private carriers are actually more competitive than Citizens. So if we're able to write the business with the private carrier, we're pushing more of our customers, more of our prospects to private carriers instead of Citizens, which is the way it should be. Homes with newer roofs, documented mitigation features, block construction, and solid loss history were more likely to qualify for private coverage. This matters because competition, even limited competition, helps slow premium increases. And we're starting to see that in the market too. As more companies are in the market, more new companies are entering the market. Some companies have started to file for some, like a little bit of rate decreases. You start to see the trickle down effect that a lot of the other private companies are starting to follow suit because they want to get some of that business too. They don't want to lose all their business to the other carriers that are entering the market or that are lowering rates. So it's the trickle down effect. So competition is really good for the market. When homeowners have options, pricing pressures ease. Like I was saying, is Florida insurance inexpensive? No, by no means. But having 2 or 3 options instead of one can make a significant difference in both price and coverage. And this is an area where 2026 has real potential to continue improving. Another quiet win in 2025 was the pace of rate increases. Many homeowners still saw increases. By no means am I trying to say that everyone's going to see a price decrease. A lot of the homeowners seeing increases, but instead of those massive jumps that we were seeing in prior years, we saw more moderate adjustments like 5%, 10%, occasionally more, but far less frequently than before. Predictability allows homeowners to budget. It allows escrow accounts to adjust without shock. And it allows insurance conversations to happen without panic. From an agent's perspective, it also allows us to actually advise instead of simply delivering bad news. Another major factor that shaped the Florida insurance market in 2025, and one that absolutely matters, is the fact that no hurricanes made landfall in Florida this year. Now, before anyone feels like we're tempting fate, let me be clear. This does not mean Florida is suddenly hurricane proof, and it does not mean we can relax long term, but it does matter when we talk about insurance. When Florida goes an entire hurricane season without a landfall, it gives the insurance market something incredibly valuable: time. Time for carriers to rebuild reserves, time for loss ratios to stabilize, time for the reinsurance market to breathe, time for underwriting decisions to be made based on data instead of fear. In previous years, it felt like every hurricane season came with immediate consequences: emergency rate filings, tighter underwriting, and sudden changes that impacted homeowners almost overnight. In 2025, without a Florida landfall, carriers were able to operate without reacting to a fresh catastrophic loss inside the state. That doesn't erase past losses, but it does reduce pressure. This is one of the reasons we saw fewer emergency exits from the market and more predictability at renewal. It also matters for reinsurance. Reinsurers pay very close attention to recent catastrophic activity. A quiet season improves Florida's short-term risk profile, which helps stabilize reinsurance pricing, and reinsurance pricing directly impacts your premium. Now, here's the important part. A quiet season does not mean premiums immediately drop. Insurance pricing lags behind reality. Companies price based on historical data, not just last year's weather. But what it does mean is that 2026 has the potential to build on that stability, assuming we don't see back to back catastrophic seasons. Think of it like recovering from an injury. One good year doesn't mean you're healed, but it does mean you're no longer actively getting hurt. One of the biggest lessons from 2025 is that insurance works best when it's proactive, not reactive. Homeowners who stayed ahead of documentation, addressed the roof issues early, and reviewed policies well before renewal had far fewer surprises. Those who waited until the last minute often found themselves with limited options, higher deductibles, or rushed decisions. Insurance is no longer something you set and forget. It's something you manage, just like taxes, healthcare, or retirement planning. If there is one word to remember heading into 2026, it's your roof. Roof age, roof type, and roof documentation will continue to drive underwriting decisions. Let me repeat that, underwriting decisions. It does not drive premium. A lot of customers get under the assumption that just by replacing your roof, you're going to get a huge discount on your premium. Not the case. A lot of people replace their roof. That's about at least a $20,000 charge. And they think that the discount on their insurance is going to be commensurate of that amount or the similar to that amount that they paid for the new roof. It is not. Most of the time, the discount is not that much. However, in order for you to even qualify or be able to keep a policy with the carrier, they're requiring that the roofs be a certain age or that you provide documentation that the roof has a certain amount of useful life left. So, with that being said, they're seeing replacing your roof as a maintenance issue, not something that they should just be giving you a huge discount for. Homes with roofs older than 10 to 15 years should expect increased scrutiny, possible roof certifications, or limited carrier options. Litigation reform will also continue to play out slowly. Florida passed changes to reduce frivolous lawsuits, but these effects take time. 2026 will help determine whether claim frequency continues to decline and whether carriers gain long-term confidence. Reinsurance remains the hidden driver behind premiums. Reinsurance pricing is influenced by global catastrophic losses and financial markets, not just Florida claims. This is why hurricane season still matters, even if you never file a claim. Heading into 2026, smart homeowners should focus on preparation. Review your policy early. Keep roof and mitigation documents updated. Understand deductibles before storm season, not after. Budget insurance as a fixed household expense, not a surprise bill. And most importantly, ask questions. Insurance doesn't have to be confusing, but it does require engagement. If today's quick bite resonated, whether you're a Florida homeowner preparing for renewal or simply trying to understand why insurance still feels complicated, now is a great time to schedule a no obligation policy review. And to do so, you can visit our website, which is right below this video, isominsurancegroup.com. We can review how your coverage works, what's driving your premiums, and how to position your policy heading into 2026. If you found this episode helpful, please like this video and share it with someone who lives in Florida. Drop a comment below with any questions, insurance questions you'd like for me to cover in a future episode. Quick Bite episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. This video is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as legal, tax, or specific insurance advice. Please consult a licensed insurance professional regarding your unique situation. This is Roshonda with the Isom Insurance Group here in sunny Florida. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe out there. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Visit us at isominsurancegroup.com.